Wow!
Al Pacino!
It's not Al anymore. It's Dan!
Dunkachino?
Power Dan!
This is a video preview on behalf of Otaku Gamers UK. We're looking at Guilty Gear Strive on the PlayStation 4. Guilty Gear Strive's open beta give us 13 available characters to test out. 11 of them are returning characters and 2 newcomers. We have Zato, Sol Bad Guy, Kai Kisk, May, Axel Lowe, Potemkin, Faust, Leo Whitefang, Melia Rage, Chip and Ramaful Valentine for the returning cast, and newcomers are Giovania and Nagariuki as the newcomers. The returning cast have all seen small changes to their appearance and outfits, mostly for the better. The only real character I have any issue is Ramaful, who looks a little bit too cutesy now compared to how she was in XRD. The newcomers are looking great. Nagorayuki looks like an absolute powerhouse of a cyber samurai, and Giovanna kind of nails the anime policewoman with doggo aesthetic they were going for. Graphically, Guilty Gear has never looked better. I honestly thought it would be hard to trump XRD, and of course Arc System Works decided to hold my beer and show me how it was done in what has to be one of the finest looking 2D pseudo 3D fighters I have ever honestly seen in motion. One of the main things I noticed initially was how good the stages looked, and especially the fact there's now stage transitions which look absolutely fantastic, something I presume is a bit of a carryover from Dragon Ball FighterZ, which isn't a bad thing. It really kind of nails that anime fight aesthetic that Guilty Gear has always had and has built on over the years, making it more cinematic rather than a 1v1 tournament fighter. The game has a brief tutorial which kind of shows you the basic ropes, though it isn't quite as robust as Guilty Gear XRDs, which kind of taught you everything in almost an overwhelming fashion at times. While I was familiar with the basics, the tutorial does teach you about bursts and general attacks. It does, for some reason, leave out Roman cancels, but I presume that is just a tool to attune newer players to Guilty Gear who may be starting with this game due to the amount of publicity it's getting and just how damn good it looks. It looks absolutely fantastic, and I imagine a lot of people who may have been initially turned off or hadn't heard of the series are going to stumble on Guilty Gear with its new push, courtesy of Bandai Namco, who are really kind of pushing the advertising out in the game and making sure that everyone knows this game's coming and what it looks like and how it plays. In terms of how I felt it play, it feels so smooth, especially online. While we're here, we might as well talk about that particular elephant in the room, and yes, GG Strive is rollback. Now, I mentioned rollback in my previous review for King of Fighters 2002 Unlimited match, and once again it works buttery smooth here. I had matches against several people, not only from the Europe region but further afield, and aside from one match where the game actually crashed, there wasn't a single drop frame, no lag, inputs were coming out fine. It was honestly as close to local multiplayer as I felt possible in a fighter game. I spent some time with the returning cast, such as Sol, Kai, Ram and Leo, all of whom have had little tweaks to make them still feel the same characters but upgraded, changed in a way. As I said, I didn't really have any issues with any of the changes, bar the way Ramaful, or Ramelful, as I discovered when playing the game, looked, especially in the face. She seems to have lost the kind of, I want to say, feral edge, and she is now more of a typical anime waifu kind of look. I would have also liked Leo to have maybe had a little bit more difference rather than hair length. And I also think it was a missed opportunity to really do something again with Potemkin, who seems to have radical attire changes near enough every game. But then again, that could be because this seems to be marketed as the end of the XRD saga. Out of the new characters, I really gravitated towards Giovania. She was very good to play, very much a rushdown character. Did a lot of damage, combos were easy enough to do, a lot of versatility, and very good for tricking players into being unsafe. A lot of her moves were safe on block. Nagoriyuki, on the other hand, felt a lot like an out-of-place Samurai Showdown character. And what I mean by that is he's a very slow, methodical character, a lot of damage, but didn't have a dash. There's a blood meter to fill which buffs and debuffs. Giovannia also had several buffs. One was tied to her tension meter, where she would hit harder at half tension and even harder at full tension. It's still relatively early in the day to fully write off Nagoriyuki. I think when the game finally releases in April, we'll see a lot of people using him to his full potential. I will say from a visual standpoint, he looks absolutely fantastic and visually my favourite of the new characters, but from a gameplay perspective, Giovannia and her doggo win the day. The modes available were a versus computer single player and online multiplayer, which takes you to the lobby system. Now, from the footage I've been showing in the background, which has been a mixture of online battles and a bit of the lobby, you can see just kind of what you're dealing with the lobby. It kind of looks like a 2D platformer version of Habbo Hotel. Arc System Works do like their kooky lobbies, and I'll be honest, this one is probably the most far out there. While it's perfectly functional, it is a bit of a pain. I struggled to get into matches with a friend of mine because every time we'd ready up, someone would jump in beforehand. Because of the way it's set up, you have to brandish a weapon, and you also have a tower you climb up through your skills, which is a perfectly good incentive to play online and ranked and level your characters up, fight people the same level. Hopefully Guilty Gear Strive does what other anime fighters tend to do and stays with a healthy fan base throughout, rather than having a good couple of weeks and then kind of dying down to the hardcores once again. My only other major gripe with Strive is one I think a lot of people hold, and that is with the UI. Now, it is readable, I'll give it that, it's got a very basic look, but what really kind of made me laugh, kind of started to grate on me a bit, especially after a few bouts, was how over the top and in your face counter is. It's almost like every time you hit a counter, you've got that kind of Jersey Shore DJ air horn thing going off, as displayed by that wonderful sound that you've just heard. I'm really looking forward to Guilty Gear Strive's release, which is on the 6th of April and will be releasing on the PlayStation 4, PlayStation 5 and Steam platform. Published by Bandai Namco. There are several versions of it. You've got your standard, you've got a season pass, you've got an ultimate with extras, as there will no doubt be downloadable characters down the line and different coloured attires. The game is heavily hinted to be the end to the XRD series, and I have also heard rumblings of the end of Soul Bad Guy, akin to what happened with Ragnar the Blood Edge from the BlazBlue series. As a fan of the Guilty Gear story, and it's one of the few anime fighting games I actually take the time to read the story, watch the story, learn the lore, I'm very excited to see where the story goes and how it's presented. I thought the way XRD did it was absolutely brilliant. It was like having a Guilty Gear anime. Another thing Guilty Gear is known for is its plethora of modes, so hopefully there's a robust arcade. There is a survival I noticed within the beta, and I'm hoping for the medal missions as well, as they're always good fun. Plenty of unlockable attires by the looks of it. Hopefully They continued the tradition of making nods to other franchises, like they have done in previous Guilty Gear and the BlazBlue games. And most of all, it'll just be fantastic to finally get a handle on the entirety of the new roster. Whether or not there are a few more surprises waiting for players, who knows, but overall, my time with Guilty Gear Strive has been fantastic. It went from a vaguely interesting title on my radar to a must-buy, and one I am very much excited to pick up, play, review, and just enjoy with other fighting game fans. I think there will be a bit more of a fan base for this one than previous titles, especially with the carryover from Dragon Ball FighterZ and how well Granblue has done. And I would just like to take this moment to once again thank Otaku Gamers UK for supporting Power Dunk and these video reviews and previews I've started doing, and a special thank you to Bandai Namco for providing me with the open beta code. Remember, you can find us on Anchor at anchor.fm/powerdunk, Twitch at twitch.tv/powerdunk, and our Twitter handle is at powerdunk. We also do a lot of work in collaboration with Otaku Gamers, which is www.otakugamers.uk.